Good evening, folks. And tonight we're going to talk about the final college football bracket, playoff bracket, that is. Now, this seems a little awkward, considering they have literally only 12 teams. This is only the 12. Now, considering everybody who won, Arizona State, who pretty much won soundly, 45-19. That was a heck of a win there. They get the fourth spot. Boise State won 21-7. They get the third spot. Oregon, who literally nearly nicked off Penn State, 40, who only picked off Penn State by just a little bit, 45-37. And Georgia, who pulled it off in overtime, 22-19, is at number 2. So, 1 is Oregon, 2 is Georgia, 3 is Boise State, and 4 is Arizona State. So, here's how that works. Arizona State is in the Fiesta Bowl. Oregon is in the Rose Bowl. Boise State's in the Peach Bowl. And Georgia is in the Sugar Bowl. So, pretty much all of them get a bye, because they're all the league champs. Now, Clemson, who won 34-31 over SMU in the last second field goal, will get despite them winning, they can't get a bye. They're the last team in. They're 12th. They'll take on Texas, the runner-up, after falling to Georgia, the SEC runner-up. So, and then the winner there will advance to the Fiesta Bowl to take on Arizona State. Then it'll be Tennessee and Ohio State. Winner there will take on Oregon. It'll be either a rematch between Ohio State and Oregon or Tennessee. Now, the game between Clemson and Texas will be at Texas. The lower seed is the home team. So, then Tennessee and Ohio State, the game is at Ohio State. And then Penn State has a home game with SMU. With number 11 SMU. So there you have it with them. Good game there by SMU. Now, winner there will advance to take on Boise State in the Peach Bowl. Then you have number 10 Indiana taking on number 7 Notre Dame. Winner there will advance to take on Georgia. That'll be an interesting game. Now, what team is missing here? Alabama. Well, that's your lineup. And then the winners of those games will advance to the Orange Bowl, and the top of the bracket will advance to the Orange Bowl. The bottom part of the bracket will advance to the Cotton Bowl. And then, obviously, the winners there will advance to the championship. That's how that works. Now, with that being said, SMU is in, Alabama's out, and so is Miami. Miami and Alabama are the first two out. Now, you gotta ask yourself, why are they out? Well, here's why. Think about this. Who did Alabama lose to? I get it, strength of schedule is one thing. Everybody looks at strength of schedule. That's been the talk for a long time, strength of schedule. Yeah, Ohio State's they lost to Oregon. Pretty good loss. But then they fall flat on their face to Michigan. But it was a close loss. It wasn't like a bad loss. But then you gotta look at Alabama. Alabama, who is left out at the 13th spot. They're pretty much on the outside looking in. Alabama lost by a score of... They lost to unranked Vanderbilt. And then they lost to an unranked Oklahoma badly. Embarrassingly. 24-3. In a lifetime I never thought that would ever happen. 24-3. to Oklahoma. I did not see that ever happening, honestly. Then they lose 24-17 to Tennessee, the team we're playing against. So this is going to be pretty much a primetime game that we're going to be looking at. A very good game we're going to be watching. And then you look at, then they lose I can't remember what the final score with Vanderbilt is. I think it was 27-24, I think. I can't remember. But it's unbelievable how they play. I mean, Alabama had every opportunity to force Tennessee into overtime, but Tennessee capitalized on a lot of Alabama mistakes. And it pretty much will hurt them in the long run. Now, if Ohio State can capitalize on how Tennessee performs, great. Now, let's talk about some of these other games. SMU. Texas and Clemson. Texas, they lost to both Georgia. Their only two losses are to Georgia. Georgia, and I can't remember who their other loss was to, but they lost to Georgia. They lost to Georgia badly. Clemson did, 34-3, I think. And if you look at Clemson, if you look at Texas, on the other hand, they lost twice. Their only two losses were to Georgia. Once in overtime and once in regulation. 30-15 in regulation and 22-19 in overtime. So that tells you a lot about how Texas pretty much improved their challenges and how they stepped up to the plate and actually tried to how they wanted to win the game. Clemson, on the other hand, the ACC champs, wanted to prove that they'd belong there. They had to play through some hoops, winning 34-31. Now, Boise State, on the other hand, winning 21-7. I can't remember who their opponent was, so I deeply apologize for that. But they beat their opponent 21-7. The last time they played their opponent was 29-24 in a resounding victory. It was really close. Not necessarily a resounding victory, but very close. But this was a resounding victory. So that just shows you how well Boise State is. Now, if Penn State takes on SMU, winner there is going to have a hard time with Boise State's running game. If they can shut down Boise State's running game, they might just have a chance. Now, SMU, I've seen them play a few times. They can pass the ball pretty well, which is what they did against Clemson. Clemson has a really bad passing game. Now, if Clemson and Arizona State, whoever plays there, I see actually having a decent chance of winning it. I mean, I could be wrong, but who knows? I'm just throwing that out there. But anything is possible. If Ohio State goes out and actually performs up to their standards that they have on defense-wise, they might actually just win the whole thing. I don't know, though. Oregon, that's going to be a tough one. Now, Penn State, they got a running back out of Boise State who is talented. He can run. Georgia, on their hand, Indiana and Notre Dame. I don't know, though. Indiana, who literally played absolutely nobody all year until he played Ohio State and got pummeled 38-15, and then won the last game. They got to take on Notre Dame, whose only loss was to absolutely kind of like Ohio State, but a nobody, Northern Illinois, a MAC team. But it was sad. They lost 16-14 by a last-second field goal, kind of like how Michigan lost to Appalachian State back in 07 on a field goal. A last-second field goal. Well, they tried to kick a field goal, was technically what they did. Both teams tried that. And they were blocked. And time ran out. 16-14, final score. A 37-30. I can't remember. I think it was 37-35. I can't remember what the final score was. 34-32, excuse me. 34-32, Appalachian State over Michigan. But that's literally what this almost comes down to. But Notre Dame is going to take on a very good Indiana team. An Indiana team that is yet to really play a very good team, but they were challenged against Ohio State. Penn State's played some pretty good teams, but this is a Penn State team. I'm not saying they're weak by all means. They're a very good Penn State team. They were down by a lot at one point with... I question their coach, okay? Instead of going for 2, you should just kick the damn extra point. I question his ability to even try those things. Kick the extra point. You're down 38-31. Obviously, their defense allowed another touchdown, so you're down 45-31. Go for another touchdown. You're down 45-38. You don't even need to go for 2 another time. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. I mean, yeah, so be it. Force overtime. So be it if we have to go to overtime to try to win. That's how I view it. So here's how I view this. Tennessee tried everything So Penn State now has to take on SMU. I mean, Penn State's defense is good. They are talented. Very talented. I've seen them at the line of scrimmage when they played Ohio State. It was a very low-scoring game all game long. 20-13. I mean, that there should have probably been a warning sign when we played Michigan, considering we played very weak against Penn State. Michigan obviously played the card there and watched very closely, and we played absolutely terrible. Oh well, maybe next year. Now, Clemson, they played some good games. I think it'll be a game. Boise State will have a lot to prove, but I don't know. They lost to Oregon 37-34, so that's that. But let me know what you think about these team lineups down in the comments sections. With that being said, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications. With that being said, I'm out of here. Peace.